Nicky D here, coming at you live, man, yet again today. A little different video for you. Today we're going to teach you how to play Bang the Dice game. So this is just going to be a very quick tutorial of the base game, just the overall how you play the game. So let's just kind of get right into it. So today we're going to talk about Bang the Dice game. Now there is a Bang game that is not the dice game. We're not covering that. So this is specifically the version that uses your dice, as you can see here. So this is a hidden identity game, so let's get that right out of the way. You don't need to worry about that anymore. This is a hidden identity game, and in the game you have the deputies, which are color-coded for yellow. You have the sheriff, who, and again, are on a team together. You have renegade, so don't worry too much about them. You have outlaw. Now in an 8-player game, this game does support 8 players. In an 8-player game, you'll have 2 deputies. So you'll have 2 deputy, the sheriff, 2 renegade, 3 outlaw. But just for, let's not make it confusing, let's just say this was the player count here, okay? So the objective of the game is pretty simple. It's a hidden identity game, so what I mean by that is you're going to have your roll cards here face down on the table. You're going to see what they are, you're going to put them face down, and then you're not going to show anyone this for the rest of the game unless you're eliminated. However, the sheriff will flip the card face up as the game resolves around the sheriff, and if the sheriff dies, the game will end. So the sheriff, we need to know who the sheriff is in town. The sheriff and the deputy have the same objective. It is to kill all the other players. So the 3 outlaws and the renegade, once they're all eliminated, each one of them would flip their card up when they're eliminated. Once eliminated, these 2 would flip their cards up. They've won the game. They've killed the opposing team. Because the outlaws and the renegade are all basically against the sheriff and the deputy. All right, so again, just to confirm, deputy on the team with the sheriff, and the deputy can die, but the sheriff has to live. So if the deputy dies, that's fine, but the sheriff still would have to kill the other players. The outlaw's objective is very simple. They only need to kill the sheriff. If at least one outlaw lives and the sheriff dies by any means, which we'll talk about that in a minute, what I mean by that, the sheriff will die, the outlaws will win, and the game will end, and the renegade and the deputy and the sheriff have lost. The renegade is kind of interesting. So the renegade actually needs to kill all opposing players, not the sheriff. So they would need to kill the deputy or deputies, outlaws, and then on their own, one-on-one, then they kill the sheriff. If the sheriff ever dies before that point happens, let's say there was a deputy alive, they would lose, and the outlaw, the outlaws would lose, and the renegade wouldn't win. Right? So again, in this situation, renegade kills the sheriff, but the deputy was still alive, the outlaws will win. Okay? You have to be the only one left with them. That's also true if there was like one outlaw left, one renegade and the sheriff, and the outlaw, so let's say the outlaw didn't even do it, the renegade shot the sheriff and was like, oh, it's okay, or the sheriff died another way, then the outlaws still win. So again, it's the hardest one out of the group because you have to be the only one left. You will kind of look like a deputy because you're going to help the sheriff, but you're going to be like the deputy and the renegade usually kill all the other players. So that's why the sheriff will have to figure out who is who. Also keep in mind if you play 2 renegades, they are not on the same team together. So that would mean you actually have to kill the opposing renegade player and then kill the sheriff. So a lot of fun. The renegade, in my opinion, personal favorite, but the absolute hardest to play. So how the game's actually played is you're going to play with dice. Now, starting with our sheriff, you're going to roll 5 dice, okay? And that's always to start your turn, is you're going to roll the dice, and you're going to action whatever they are. You're going to do whatever they do, okay? Now, when you do roll, you have to roll 1 time, and then you're allowed to re-roll up to 2 more times, and any number of the dice. So say, for example, I could re-roll these 2 1 more time, and then I could actually just roll this one only, say, 1 more time. Now, you could re-roll all 5. You could re-roll 3 of them. It's completely up to you. Now, of course, they all do certain different things. So we'll talk about what they do real quick. So 2s and 1s are the first way that you're going to shoot someone. So a 1 is how you're going to target someone. Now, a 1 is not used to do, trying to see where the camera is, you can tell I'm a little newer to this. A 1 is not used to do 1 damage, and a 2 is not used to do 2 damage. They are actually used to do distance away from you. So let's just say like a player was your to immediate left, a player was to your immediate right, you know, and over here, okay? It's out of frame a little bit, but you get the idea. So a 2 would shoot someone 2 seats away from you, like physically sitting next to you. So 1 and 2, that player would be shot. And then a 1 shoots someone physically adjacent to you. I cannot use a 1 this way, nor can I use a 2 to shoot someone adjacent to me. If you have more than one, or two, you are allowed to distribute them any way you want and in any order. I could put 2 to 1 player. I could separate 1 to each player. And again, you can do that in any particular order. When a player is eliminated, though, they are going to reveal their card face up for everyone to see, and they're out of the game. They also don't count when shooting now. So if I were to use a 1, I actually would skip the player and shoot to the next adjacent player, to the next person next to me, okay? If that makes sense. So again, 1s and 2s. That's kind of how they work. So there are ways to get around the restrictions of the distance away from you, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Next up is beer. So beer is the way to restore your health points. So when you use a beer, you're going to use it on any player. So that would actually include yourself, or you could use it on another player. Again, like in this case, maybe a deputy chooses the sheriff to heal them back. So you would heal 1 life point. I'll talk about life points when I talk about your player cards a bit more in particular, but you either have 7, 8, or 9 health, and the sheriff gets an additional 2 health because they're the sheriff and they're the target of everyone. If you use a beer on someone that's already at full health, it has no effect. So if I used it on the sheriff and the sheriff was already at max, there is just no added benefit. It's just using it because you can. And you can use a 1, shoot a player, and then use a beer to heal them back the health right after. So you can technically use those in any order that you wish. So if you didn't want to shoot the sheriff, you could do that to actually redeem health back to the sheriff. So it just gives you a little bit of ways around that. Moving into dynamite. So this is the one that you cannot reroll. So when I roll a dynamite, I'm stuck with it, and I'm not allowed to re-roll this option. I'm stuck with the dynamite, okay? Then I'm allowed to re-roll, and let's say I re-rolled 1 more time there. I got another dynamite, all right? Now, if I ever get a 3rd dynamite, sometimes when I'm teaching games, I teach these weekly. If I ever roll a 3rd one, it's really lucky because it's perfect for my explanation. If I ever roll a 3rd dynamite, it's actually really, really bad. So no matter what roll you're on, it could have been your first roll, you automatically stop rolling, you blow up because you rolled 3, and you take 1 damage. So you lose a health point, and you then get to do whatever the other 2 dice are. So I mean a beer and a number 2. So I shoot someone, and I heal someone, probably myself. If you're ever at the point, now this is what your health points will look like, but we'll talk more about these in a minute. If you ever are at 1 health, and you have a beer and a 2 in this situation, and 3 dynamite, you would lose the health and blow up and die. You don't use the beer first. This happens right away. All right. So it's very, very important if you were here and you're like, oh man, I want to keep rolling, stop and heal yourself because you'll blow up and die. All right. And that's also a way that the outlaws can win because as long as the sheriff dies and there's outlaws alive and in the game, and again, not the renegade by themselves with the sheriff, they will win regardless of what just happened there. So it's very, very interesting and it can be very chaotic, but in a fun way. It's all fun. Funsies. So the last 2 things you can roll on your dice are arrows, which we'll talk about here now, and then we have Gatling guns. So arrows happen actually right away. So let's just say that was your first roll, okay? I rolled this, I got 2 arrows, I got a Gatling gun, which again I'll talk about in a minute, I got a 1 and a beer. Arrows you take right away from the stockpile. Now actually there's technically 9 arrows in total, I just didn't take them all from behind the camera. So there's actually 9 in the center of the table. Every time you roll an arrow, you're going to take them automatically in front of you, just take them right away. You're allowed to re-roll arrows, so let's say I do exactly just that, and I could stop rolling, or let's say I re-roll 1 more time, try to get some more beer going here. Perfect, I got a dynamite, can't re-roll it anyway, but I didn't get another arrow. Anytime you roll them, you just take them right away, and you continue your turn. You just keep rolling. Once all the arrows have been distributed, and again, there's not that many, so once they all kind of go out to players, right, people have been rolling arrows, and it doesn't matter who, it doesn't have to be your turn. Someone takes the last arrow, okay? That gets taken. The local natives of the land, okay, the tribesmen come down from the hills, and they pelt everybody full of arrows. Doesn't matter who you are, they don't discriminate. They kill all of you. So you actually will lose life points equal to the number of arrows you have. So I have 3. I would put 3 health back into the center, and I put those back in the center, and everyone else does the exact same thing. If anyone is killed this way, the win conditions will still go through. So the renegade could win, the outlaws can win, deputies could lose, etc. All right? Or, I mean, the sheriff could win because the outlaws could die, right? And the renegade. So you can die from that, and it's really, really bad. So more arrows are bad, and the more you re-roll your dice, the more chances you have of getting arrows. if someone also, like, let's say it was my turn and I took the last arrow and we all took damage, I keep rolling it. It's not like dynamite. I keep going and I play my turn, but that will happen right away. So also, if I had a beer sitting there, but I rolled an arrow and I took the last one and died, the beer will do nothing because I'm already dead. They don't give me a chance to drink my beer. They kill me. All right? The last one to talk about, I know, guys, big video. Last one to talk about is our Gatling gun. So you actually need 3 Gatling guns in total to get this ability. 1 player ability lets you get it with 2, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So if you ever roll 3 of these, you can just stop rolling and go, you know what, that's what I like. And keep in mind, if you're like, hey, I want to heal people, I want to do that now, you have to wait until you stop rolling. So I have to make the call to be like, you know what, I'm going to stop rolling. I see what I have here is good. I'm going to keep it. So I can't go, you know, I'm going to heal myself and then keep re-rolling the dice. It doesn't work like that. You have to stop and then go, you know what, I'll take what I have. The Gatling gun makes you lose all of your arrows. So if I have any arrows here, I put them back in the center and I don't lose any health points for that too, which is really good. And everyone else at the table, I do 1 damage to. I shoot them for 1 damage. Now that doesn't include myself, but it also includes every other player. So it could include my teammates, could include the sheriff, you know, whatever. So, but it's an interesting way because especially if there's like 8 people at a table, you can't shoot everybody. So that's a way to start getting through the crowd. All right. So if you're with me so far, we only really have one more thing to talk about. So player cards. So the game, I don't necessarily know in the rulebook specifically if it says like 1 or 2 cards, but depending on your player number, I always try to give 2 cards to everybody. So I give 2 player cards to people and I let them choose one of them. So I'll just pick these 2 off the top of the deck, for example. I hope you guys like the pink card sleeves. It helps. It helps. So we have Girdondas here. So they have basically Spanish and then some English on the bottom of a description. So it says, you never lose more than 1 life point to the Indians. So when you take arrows, if I had 5 arrows, I would only lose 1 health point, where everyone else would have lost 5 in that case. But I only get 7 health. So your number indicator's on the top right corner. Blackjack, it says, you may re-roll dynamite, but not if I roll 3 or more. So if I roll 3 or more, I just blow up. If you roll 4, you still just take 1 damage. But if I roll the dynamite, I'm allowed to take the dynamite and roll it again, and then keep going. And in that case, I'd get an arrow. And again, 8 health points. So normally what I do is you just take 1 back, you keep 1 face up in front of you. Very important too, I always recommend to people, take 1 when you know what your roll card is. Look at your roll card first and say, what do I want to use that's going to help? I'm not going to go through all the player cards, by the way, because there's a good amount of them. Not to mention we have extra expansions, so there's a lot. But yeah, keep in mind, like, you know, if I'm a deputy, if I'm an outlaw, I might want something that lets me shoot farther than other players, right, to get to the sheriff. And again, in this case, that's a pretty good card, 8 health. So everyone would take bullets equal to their health. So it's basically just 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8. That's what you would do. And then every time you lose a health, you put 1 in the center, and you would either take 1 back for a 3 or whatever you need to do. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much everything. The pink cards are face up. Everyone should know what these are. So it's like, okay, that person's blackjack, Billy is X. We got it. But your purple cards will always be face down unless you are the sheriff. So again, face down cards so nobody knows what you are. And again, starts with the sheriff and it goes clockwise in that order. So sheriff will always start the game and then we go 1 at a time clockwise around the table. All right, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is a new series I'm going to do. I did some One Night Werewolf back in the day, a couple years ago, and the videos, I think they did kind of well. People seem to appreciate them, and I think, you know what? Let's do it. Let's play some games, teach some games. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.